And he needs to complete a 160-hour field training officer, which means he rides with with other police officers on duty, and in order to complete his training. That being said, during this 160 hours, he's not paid, he's just a volunteer. And this is a time for Adam to learn and acquire the skills needed to succeed. After this time frame, Adam and Cohocton PD are both in agreement that there might or might not be a permanent position within the agency. We don't have to guarantee him a job. If there was a job available, Mark thinks it would probably be offered to him, but he also doesn't, said that if he's not gonna work out, he won't even complete the 160 hours, if
I would
he's not
assume he's
doing.
on the town's insurance while he's volunteering?
It's all covered under the academy, I believe. We don't have any liability
Is it
in
in
the
writing?
case of during the training part of it.
I would like it in writing.
Me too.
Oh, yeah, oh, no, it would definitely have to be in writing, yes. Oh, yeah, no, that was the first question I asked, that,
What I had.
yeah, we're not assuming, no, that's part of their training, is what I've been told, but yes, we would definitely, have to have that in writing. I'm sure there's a whole manual, but I can't be positive. Okay.
I mean, in addition to that, wouldn't we want to verify that, God forbid, the town's insurance would cover us? In case something bad happened?
Oh, I think this is all through the police academy, because they have to complete this field training of 160 hours with
Yeah.
some police agency.
Yeah,
So Mark just thought, because he is a Cohocton resident and he would prefer to stay in Cohocton if he could,
But I
that.
think what David said is that we need to check with our insurance.
Oh, yeah,
companies
oh,
on-
absolutely.
just, belt and
Yeah.
suspenders kind of a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, all that would be, yeah, obviously,
Okay.
that we would not, this isn't gonna start anytime soon. I'm just bringing it up because he brought it up to me and put it in writing, that,
I'd start working on the insurance part, so when
yeah, I just got this today, so I'm presenting it to you guys, that those are the questions I asked in the beginning, that we can't have any liability of just having somebody riding along. But yeah, that can be, I'm sure there's something. If there isn't, we wouldn't be interested in doing that. The second thing that Mark brought up is that he is starting to interview officers. One of the current police officers has given him notice that he will be leaving in July. He's moving out of the area. That might, there's a little chance that won't happen, and he would certainly keep him on if he wasn't moving, but it's more likely that he's moving. So he is, had someone come in and apply who is also a Cohocton resident, a Billy Little, and who already works for the Angelica Police Department and the Friendship Police Department, and he's just letting us know that he's starting to do interviewing, so that in the case of the person leaving, he would have some names and resumes ready to go for the summer. And I don't know if anybody's got a scanner and been listening, but there's been a whole lot of police activity lately in Wayland and Cohocton and all over the place, and some of it's pretty scary. That's neither here nor there. Back to the moratorium that was requested, he suggested 2 or 3 months. They have not had a meeting. I did get a email from Russ yesterday, and he wants to have a meeting, this month, definitely. Marty said that they have talked, they've been exchanging emails, talking on the phone, they've looked at a couple of sample solar laws from other places. Marty went to some, I'm assuming it was a video training or whatever, and got some additional information that they're all looking at. So I said I would bring it up. I don't know if, you know, a moratorium is necessary. We have two wind companies too. We have 2 solar companies who are, looking to come into our town. The one had called Chuck this week, the, girl that was here last month. Some guy called, asked Chuck to meet him the other day, but I don't think he ever showed up. So they are definitely moving ahead, and, the other one gave me a call, and he said that they, procured their second lease that they needed, and they would be moving ahead contacting us too, so. I don't know if, you know, Chuck said in any case, they would need a special use permit or a variance depending on where these are going or whatever. They would not be you know, they're not permitted under our current zoning law without either of those, so.
So you're pretty well set, and they'd have to go to the planning board, so you really wouldn't need a moratorium, or what did the planning board think? Did they think they needed one?
Well, that was the planning board who called, not the planning board, but one person from the planning board who called and asked if we would consider a moratorium to give them time to make their decision on a law and get it to the board before.
I think it's gonna be more than 2 months.
Well, he said they're close because they've been talking, but,
We gotta do a public hearing and all.
oh
that.
yeah,
That's the
definitely
law.
have to do a public hearing. That's why it would have to be a 2 or 3 month moratorium. I mean, I don't know if we don't have a law and they go, you know, to the, I would assume it's gonna be a special use permit, not a variance. What do
It
you
could
think,
make a
Laura?
big difference. A use variance should be almost impossible to get. Special use permit, not necessarily, if you check all the boxes.
Right, you can't, yeah.
satisfy the criteria, then you get your special use permit. But a use variance should be really, really hard to get. So, you know, the need for a moratorium might depend on whether a special use permit would work for them or whether they would need a use variance.
But if they go to the planning board for a special use permit and you don't have a law, then can they dictate setbacks and,
I think so, they could, the planning board can do requirements.
I'm sorry?
The planning board can do requirements for their special use permit.
They can, but generally the requirements have to be specified so that the applicants know.
But I mean, they'll write it in the special use permit, what they have, what are required of them,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. But the requirements generally have to be set out in your zoning law. Here's what you need to do.
We don't have any in our zoning
no,
law.
we don't have a.
We just have it in our comprehensive plan that we support solar farms, is all.
If it's not provided for in your zoning code, then they can't do it. I mean, if there's no provision for them to set up a solar array,
Mm-hmm.
whether through a use variance or a special use permit, then they can't do it.
Oh, then it's not allowed, you're saying? at all.
Even though it may be addressed in your comprehensive plan, it needs to be provided for in your zoning code. because generally that's, the zoning works that way. If it's not something that's permitted, then you can't do it.
Unless they go and get a variance.
Correct. The use variance, yeah.
So do you think we're better off with a moratorium to,
Let me look at the zoning code and see if that's addressed at all. The solar,
no, it isn't.
solar array or solar use.
Jane had brought
Not
this up
even,
a year
residential
ago.
solar. So,
Yeah.
right?
They work pretty slow.
Right?
Right.
I don't,
I don't
don't
think
know.
it was in there.
I mean,
I probably think it
I
was.
got a building permit to put mine on my roof, but that's all I was required to get.
Yeah, but that's
I
just
mean,
a
you could do a
residential.
moratorium, it's a fairly simple thing.
Yeah.
It's passing a local law saying nobody can operate or construct a solar array in the town for a period of 6 months. And then you make a finding that your planning board is working on, coming up with a law that's reasonable and something that'll work and something that's in conformance with your comprehensive plan. And you pass a moratorium. And then that makes it clear that they can't do it.
Mhm. Until we have a law that we,
Yeah, that regulates it
Mhm.
somehow, yeah. Or you just decide you don't wanna do it.
well, I think we wanna do it, we just have to have a,
Right, it's in your comprehensive.
How you're gonna go about it, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
anybody wanna make a motion? We would need a motion to declare a moratorium.
Yeah, and to direct
To-
me to prepare a local law, for consideration by the town board that would enact a moratorium.
So then, do you have to have a public hearing for that?
Yep,
So you're looking at 3 months to create this moratorium.
couple of months
Right.
anyway, yeah.
Oh, God. Well, we sort of have a moratorium if we can't have a public hearing anyway.
That's true.
So that is true. So I guess we don't really need a moratorium because we have it,
That's correct.
self-imposed.
So that might give them enough time to get their solar laws.
Well, they told me they're
That's gotta come to
almost
the
there.
board and do a public hearing, so. I don't know. I haven't
Well, you
heard
can
of-
have a public hearing, that, there are rules for it. I have it printed out someplace on the myriad in my desk, but, so we'll just let that go and urge them to post haste, get their law together. Is that correct? Cheryl, did you know how to do an executive session?
At the end,
Okay, we'll do
privilege of the floor.
privilege of the floor.
That's me good.
I just wanted to comment on the wind farm business that's going on here, that, it just seems to me like we're not looking at the big picture here. We're not trying to set up a generating plant that's using fossil fuels or a nuclear plant that's giving off toxic waste that won't be dispersed for thousands of years. I mean, most of the people that I have heard that set stuff in were, not maybe most of them, but several of them at least, were people that live around the lake, that come a couple, 3 months out of the year. Most of the residents that we heard from were for this. And a good share of the ones that we heard that were against it don't even live in this area a good share of the time. And I think a lot of that was instigated by all the propaganda that Chad Zigafuss put out there on social media about telling how much higher they were than all these Washington Monument and the Statue of Liberty and all that. I mean, he just, I think he's never wanted them at all. It wouldn't have mattered if they were only 200 feet high. He did not want them. He's been fighting it tooth and nail from the beginning. The only thing that really gave him a foothold to get going on this thing was the height change. And then that gave him a chance to really try to fight it big time so that he doesn't have to look at him from his new house. And I guess my comments are gonna have to be when they have the public hearing. So, but I just wanted to comment on some of my feelings about what he's doing to try to fight this whole thing and influence people on his behalf, when the only reason that he is fighting this thing is because he doesn't want them where he can see them. And I think there's a lot more to it than just where people can see them. This is a electric time in our world right now. Everything is going electric. They've got electric robots. They've got even some of the dairies have robots that are milking cows, and all that takes energy. Where's that energy going to come from? We sure don't need fossil fuel plants that are puking out chemicals that are causing acid rain that destroyed the northeast of New York. I mean, it's not just the money part of it for the town and the people in this town. It's got a huge impact, but I think we gotta look at the long range where we need to generate some energy that's renewable energy without the side effects of what we've been doing.
If only we could capture those cow fires.
Someday.
I wanna give you a story that happened to me back when they were starting to talk about the present wind farm. And I talked to an elderly gentleman in Naples who must be passed by now. But he told me he could remember when they wanted to put up power poles alongside the roads. He was that old. And he said people were mortified because it was gonna ruin the scenery. So it's that argument just doesn't cut it. If I've gone away for a few days and I'm on my way home and I see the windmills in the distance, I actually feel good because I know I'm almost home.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, in anything that has come down the road in my lifetime, there are people that are for them and against them. Just like when the highway went through, when 390 went through. Look at the people, the businesses, and that suffered and went out of business. But now you think nothing of hopping on that highway and taking off, and it's great now. But there were a lot of people that suffered that fought against even that. And there's always going to be somebody that's not going to be happy with it.
Anyone else?
I'd like to say something, yes. My son went to
Excuse me,
Iraq
sir?
and fought.
What's your name?
Doug Fay.
Thank you.
My son went to Iraq and fought for whether it was a good thing or not, I don't know. But if we can do something in this country where we can do it safely and produce energy, maybe we can get those Arabs to drink their oil, and it would be better for us in the long run. I mean, what's going to happen in another 10 years? What's happening down the road, something that nobody knows yet? Who knows what's going to happen, you know? And to me, I like the scenery like it is, no doubt about it. However, I guess I don't even notice those windmills that are up there now.